Kenyans suffered terrible violence after the disputed presidential elections of 2007. As part of the Peace Pact, the fragile coalition government agreed to put a stop to impunity. Political leaders have been getting away with murder for as long as we can remember, because the Kenyan judicial system is too weak to deal with them. So, in 2009, Parliament voted resoundingly for the International Criminal Court, the ICC, to step in, which it did. On December 15, 2010, the ICC announced the names of 6 prominent Kenyans to be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. This caused panic among politicians, who immediately looked for a way out.
There are no doubts that massive crimes were committed in Kenya. The issue is, who is responsible here? I want to be clear, we are not investigating the elections. We are not analyzing political responsibilities. We are not making any judgment on the political parties. We are investigating murders, rapes, forced displacements, crimes against humanity.
I'm Maina Kiai, and I've spent most of my life fighting for justice and human rights. So for me, this is an extraordinary moment. I think it's the best chance Kenyans have ever had to stop impunity. For the first time, powerful people will have to take individual responsibility for their actions instead of using their position or their community as a shield. Because this is no longer a local affair for our politicians to play around with. Luis Moreno Ocampo has told the whole world that he wants to prosecute 6 Kenyans. That is a game changer. When Mr. Ocampo made the announcement from The Hague, Kenyans held their breath and watched.
In accordance with our investigation, we found that as early December 2008, William Ruto and Henry Koski, leaders of the Orange Democratic Party movement, began preparing a criminal plan to attack those identified as supporters of the Party of National Unity, in particular in the area of Rift Valley. Joshua Sange played a crucial part on this. He's a journalist, and he was involved in the planning of this operation, collecting supporters and also using the radio messages to pass code messages. So they started this network, and after the announcement of the result of the election, they immediately start operation. Their followers, I mean thousands of members of this network, began to attack different places on 30 and 31 of December. They attacked Turbo Town, the greater Eldoret area, and Nandi Hills Town. They approached each location from all directions, very well coordinated. They had transport, they have weapons provided by the coordinators, and they start to burn homes, to kill people, and systematically force displace these people from their homes. As a response of these attacks, members of the government also commit crimes. We identified 3 individuals. First one is Francis Mutahura, who was the chairman of the National Security Advisory Committee, and as such, he authorized the police to use excessive force against civilians in Kisumu and Kibera. They were shooting and killing more than 100 people that they identified as supporters of the other party, of the ODM party. The second tactic they implement was to make an agreement with the Mungiki and other groups and let them to attack the civilians. This was facilitated by Mr. Kenyatta, who was the focal point between the Mungiki, who is a group in Kenya, and the Party of National Unity. And so Mr. Kenyatta's role was to facilitate the activities of the Mungiki, and Mr. Muthaura and Ali's role was to let them to commit the crimes. Mr. Ali was the head of the police in Kenya in those days. So these are the 6 names we identify as the person who should face justice. They are still innocent. We're just presenting the prosecutor evidence. The judge will decide.
There are reasonable grounds to believe that
All rise. International Criminal Court is now in
is
session.
criminally responsible as indirect co-perpetrator under Article 25(3)(a) of the statute for the following acts constituting crimes against humanity. 1. Murder within the meaning of Article 7(1)(a), forcible transfer of population within the meaning of Article 7(1)(d) of the statute. Persecution constituting a crime against humanity within the meaning of Article 7(1)(h) for the following acts constituting crimes against humanity committed from on or about the 24th of January 2001 until the 31st of January 2008. 1. Murder constituting a crime against humanity, forcible transfer of population, and persecution constituting a crime against humanity within the meaning of Article 7(1)(h) of the statute.
The ICC has been doing independent investigations inside and outside Kenya. Ocampo told me he feels confident he can get some of the key organizers of the chaos, the so-called big fish, but it's up to Kenya to do the rest. What do Kenyans think of that?
Liberation, we are liberating ourselves from impunity. These will be the days where everybody will be accountable for. Whether position gani uko nayo, you must be accountable for.
I'm totally shocked. I thought Kibaki and Raila would be included. Seriously. Because they're the ones who are calling the shots.
The list that Ocampo has come up with, he has really not done justice to Kenyans. Actually, for the people to have fought, it is not because of the tribal kind of thing. It is because their justice was denied from them. Because after 40, people knew which party was going to win. And when the elections were really announced, the people were unhappy.
When we were trying to make our own local tribunal here, the parliamentarian was shouting to the loudest of their voice, Hague, 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 the Hague has come. Because they were thinking that Hague will take 99 years. It took 2 years. Ocampo is on our neck. Let them go and face the justice in Hague.
As I was seeing the names from the media, I've seen it as if it was between 2 ethnic tribes, the Kikuyus and the Kalenjins. Even the ones picked, in my view, they're just from 2 communities, and it was not the case. Because me, I was in Nairobi, and it was not the case. Everybody fought.
Walikuwa wanaona kama watu ni wa Kenya ni wajinga sana. Wakaona pia kuna pesa mingi ya kutoa ya kufanya ufujo. Kwa hivyo vile Ocampo amefanya kitu ya maana sana. Hawa watu wafunga hata kunyonga wanyongwe tu.
Wasiende kwa hivi kubembelezwa ati waende wabembelezwe ati jini wakubwa. Hapana, waende wakalishwe chini. Watatoa wengine juu. Ukiangalia hiyo side ni PNU na ODM. Na hawa watu wote hawa watoto wametajwa sio wako mapati leaders. Unaona? Walikuwa tu ni hawa watu walikuwa hapo wapi? hapa chini chini. Kwa hivyo wakazidi kuhojiwa. Bado siri iko. Ocampo afanye kazi, azidi kufanya kazi.
The ICC list is a shocking blow for our political class. They've always protected themselves across party lines. They have no fear of prosecution in Kenya. Our entire judicial system has proved too weak. Poor police investigations, corrupt courts, too much political pressure. So Parliament did what our politicians do best. If you don't like the law, just change it. They immediately passed a motion recommending a pullout from the treaty that binds Kenya to the ICC, the Rome Statute. But it's not that simple. The Rome Statute is enshrined in the Constitution, which must take public opinion into account. And that has been firmly in support of the ICC. Withdrawal from an international treaty is a long process and certainly won't save the Ocampo 6. If Kenya stops cooperating, arrest warrants will be issued. After all, it was government and parliament who invited the ICC to step in. It has nothing to do with offending our sovereignty. Over the last 3 years, the state has clearly proved itself unable and unwilling to take action. A local tribunal was rejected 3 times by the very same parliament. Kenyan Minister of Justice Mutula Kilonzo would have preferred a local option, but concedes it just hasn't happened.
I would have preferred Kenya to set up a local tribunal at the time that the bill was on the floor of the House. My position was very clear, because by refusing to pass that law, we were telling the world and ourselves that we can't do it, that we cannot prosecute our own citizens within our own boundaries.
The truth is, we need both. The ICC has to go for the big fish and the special tribunal for the other perpetrators. MP Gitobu Imanyara has spearheaded the initiative for a local tribunal.
It is important that in addition to those who bear the greatest responsibility, it's also important that we deal with the vast majority of the real perpetrators so that victims can see justice being done. Because for an ordinary Kenyan who saw what happened at that Kiambaa church, for an ordinary Kenyan who sees the neighbor come and cut down their children, the real perpetrators are those neighbors that did that. It's not Ruto, it's not Uhuru, it's not Mudaura. So it's very important that the law catches up even with those ordinary people. And the only way that can happen is through a process of an independent tribunal that addresses those special issues.
Well, I think ordinary Kenyans are best placed to talk about justice. We have 2 types of justice in Kenya. One for the rich who normally get away with it, and one for the poor who bear the brunt of the justice system. During the crisis, hundreds of thousands of people were displaced and some 1,300 killed. Many had to live a miserable life in displacement camps, and some still do.
Hiyo ya Ocampo siwezi kuambia kwa sababu sijasikia. Unajua ukiwa na redio ndio unaweza sikia. Alafu ukikuwa unaenda hapo town, unanunua gazeti, unaisoma. Unaweza sikia hiyo venye kunaendelea. Lakini hatuna shughuli, sina shughuli ya huko. Niko na shughuli nitoke niende nitafutie watoto wangu wakule peke yake. Sisi tunaomba tu usaidizi.
What has happened to victims of violence over the last 3 years? Has there been any progress for them? My first stop was in Kapsoit, Rift Valley Province.
Kokikawa Kapsoit. Kinget kondoita kokikoyokte ale ba kimi tuguk chekibo kwalwa. Kong'et akine kosib ingo. Kor kong'et kotuyo ak ingo en kapsoit kowek ingo gaa. Ko akine betunoton kotomo koit gaa akoi ra. Ko kiracheng lakini tomo anyor. Ko ki betunoton any tarikit 31 arib akoi tarikit 1 Januari anyon. Ko kingomatanyoru anam acheng. Kecheng ketebat en kapsoit yutok komakinyoru. Konam ko kijanaiyat neo en inendet taon. Koba kocheng kora komanyor. Keba kebir report en kapolis. Akeba kora ketebat akoi Nakuru Olino lakini makinyoru. Akecheng sipitalishek tugul kora lakini makinyoru. Ko kong'eten yoto any ko kikitestai kecheng baka ra tomo kimuny kora lakini tomo kekas ng'olyon age tugul kele miono anan ne. Kikuren Kipkuri. Kisomanen Kiboibe Primary School. Ako kibo kenyisiek 19. Amae ketoreton akot ketakechengwon amun
There remains concern about the number of Kalenjin youth who disappeared during the crisis, some after being arrested, others never returned home. What's being done about it? Absolutely nothing. It remains a travesty of justice.
Baada ya kumfanyia postmortem tukapata ya kuwa mtoto alipigwa kutoka kwa mgongo na risasi na ikakuja ikakwama hapa. So tukafanya postmortem, tukapewa hiyo risasi. Tukamaliza mazishi, alafu ndio tukajaribu sasa kuuliza kile kilitendeka. So baada ya hapo sasa tukachukua tu photocopy ya postmortem, tukajaribu kufuatilia. So vile ilikuwa mambo ya askari na station, unajua ni vigumu kwa raia uende kabisa uinsist. Tukaenda kuuliza, hawataki hata kusikia kwa sababu wanasema hiyo haikuletwa hapa. So kama tisho hivi. Hata niliendaga wakati mwingine kwa dio tukiongea tu mambo zingine, nikamuuliza what happened baada ya hii mambo ya kisa kutendeka ya post election violence. Akaniambia sasa ni vigumu tuingilie mambo ya lives. So yani I felt nikaambia yeye tu so wale wenye walichomewa nyumba na wenye wanasema ati sijui vitu vyao vilichukuliwa, they are much important than the lives of our people.
And then there is Mary, terribly burnt in Kiambaa Church, still struggling with her injuries. How can we trust the government to do the right thing when 3 years on, no one has been convicted for these atrocities? Survivors have been left to rely almost entirely on their own resourcefulness and personal strengths.
Tulipokuwa tukiungua, Mungu akanisaidia akaniokoa kwa moto. Baada ya hiyo nilikuwa nikiomba Mungu ya kwamba ule mtoto wangu mwenye aliungua hadi akafa, heri Mungu angenirudishia mwenye alienda, lakini nashukuru Mungu juu amenirudishia. Sasa niko na katoto kasichana kako na mwezi mmoja.
Sasa imekuwa mimi kufanya kazi, kuvua nguo zote zake, nyumba kama hii kuosha, kumpikia juu hawezi karibia moto, hata mwenye kumuosha sababu hii mkono haiwezi ikanifanya hivi kuje huku kama vile utasafanya hivi. Sasa nimekuwa na shida pia juu ya watoto. Niko na watoto 5, mmoja yuko hapa ako mbali, lakini wenye sasa wananitegemea sana ni watoto 4. Naona kweli haki itaweza tendeka na haki itaweza kosa kama wenye watatoa haki wakifanya mchezo.
The politicians must not be allowed to treat justice as one of their games, because without knowing the truth, we cannot heal and move on. We will continue to suffer from invisible wounds. Like Dorothy from Kisumu, who told me in 2009 how she was brutally raped in Naivasha.
Waliniangusha hapo na wakararua nguo yangu. Mwingine akaanza, huyo mwenye alinifikia kwanza akaanza akamaliza. Tena mwingine akaanza akamaliza. Tena wengine wananifukuza nikienda.
Sasa watu ngapi?
Watu 5. Sasa venye nilienda kwangu, nikaenda tu polepole. Nikae kwangu ama nifanye nini? Yaani mwili inaenda tu hivi. Na sijui nifanye nini. Akili imepotea, mimi na kuangalia tu kama macho, hata sasa sijui. Akili kanifikijia.
I brought her to meet Mary because survivors can help each other understand more about what happened.
Huyu anaitwa Dorothy. Huyu ni Mary.
Naitwa Mary.
Naitwa Dorothy. Mimi walinirape watu 5 hapo kiwanja ndege. Toka kazi kitu kama saa 1 hivi, saa 1:30 usiku. Mtu mmoja tu ndiye alifanya hawakuniua. Kaniambia huyu ni mzuri, huyu wacha aende tusimalize.
Pole kabisa. Ilikuwa tarehe 1, tulikuwa tunaishi Kiambaa. Kuingia kanisani ndani, sasa wakatuashia moto. Sasa tukaungulia huko. Sasa mimi nikaumia, sasa nikachomeka mwili. Na mtoto wangu mmoja mwenye niko nimebeba akaungulia hapo na akaaga.
Mimi nilikuwa nafikiria Wakikuyu wanafanyia Wajaluo peke yao. Sikujua kama Wakikuyu pia wameumia.
Ndio tumeumia. Tulikuwa tumesikia fununu ya kwamba watatupata juu ati tulirushia Mr. Kibaki kura. Hasa wakatuambia ni lazima tutahama huko.
Hauna mali ya kuishi mzuri. Ukipata kazi saa zingine umepata ya leo, kesho hakuna. Mwenye nyumba pia anataka pesa. Nilisema tu heri hao wangenipata, hata wangeniua tu. Sababu hiyo sasa stage yenye niko naye ni kujikasa tu venye sasa imekuwa.
Ingawaje nilikuwa nikiumia mpaka wakati mwingine nasema heri hata mimi ningekufa, lakini hakuna haja. Mungu aliona ana sababu na akaona ni heri tu kae vile juu aliona tu ni vyema akuokoe.
Dorothy, umekuwa na moyo. Leo tu umekuwa na una kwa chini sana. Lakini jikaze. Jikaze. Tuko pamoja.
Many attackers made it clear that sexual violence and mutilation was a punishment for belonging to a particular political party or ethnic group, like the so-called revenge attacks, which targeted innocent people, not combatants. How are we dealing with that? Not at all, it seems. Yet these are very serious crimes.
Sexual violence as a tool of conflict is a well-known tool. It terrorizes, it attacks the individual, it attacks the family, it attacks the community. So it's very commonly used in conflict situations. And it is also used as a way to reward combatants. And in the situation of Kenya and the post-election violence, that was no exception. Now the next step is that this sexual violence that has taken place must be prosecuted. Now, when the ICC prosecutes, they prosecute people who are the quote-unquote big fish. These aren't necessarily people who necessarily raped themselves, but if they had command responsibility, if they were in a position to prevent or punish these crimes, they are responsible for the rapes, whether they themselves raped or not.
It's important to understand exactly what crimes the ICC can prosecute. Calling for peaceful mass action, for example, is not illegal. It's a fundamental right. But protesters have individual responsibility not to commit crimes. So what are crimes against humanity? Priscilla Nyokabi from Kituo cha Sheria explains they don't just harm the victim, they offend our very sense of humanity.
Kama lile la kuua watu wengi. Mass murder.
It's like killing many people, mass murder. The penal code says if you kill one person, you'll go to court. The same applies for 2-3 people. Or if you go crazy and shoot 4 to 6 people, you'll be taken to court. But if you kill many people with a motive, that is going into one house, kill, jump 2 houses, kill in the next house, jump 3, kill in the following house, you have killed many people because of the way they look, their tribe, religion, or political affiliation.
Kwa sababu ya jinsi wanavyokaa, ama kwa sababu ya kabila yao, ama kwa sababu ya dini yao, ama kwa sababu
then you've committed crimes that cannot be tried locally. The international community takes such crimes seriously, and you will have offended the whole world.
na makosa hayo ni makosa ambayo nchi za kimataifa zinayachukulia kwa uzito sana, na makosa mengine yanafanywa kwa ukatili.
Some crimes are done in such a savage manner, it's difficult to comprehend, like disemboweling a pregnant woman.
Mtoto anatolewa, unajua hata uwezi taka kuona picha kama hiyo. Ukisoma ripoti ya Waki, utaona
The Waki report describes how a man watched as the brother was killed, how a father watched as the entire family was killed,
watoto wake wote wameuliwa na yeye anawaangalia. Ama mama amenajisiwa,
or a woman who was raped in front of her husband and children just because she was from a particular tribe or political party. Some did not even vote, yet they were believed to have political affiliations. So if you commit such crimes, then you have committed crimes against humanity.
Crimes against humanity.
So we can't defend people on the basis of who they are, where they come from, or what they did for their own, because that is the very root of impunity.
At the end of the day, it's about justice for individuals. It's nothing to do with the tribe, because I've heard quite a number of my colleagues in parliament say that our son, our community, it is nothing to do with the community. I like the approach of William Ruto that I will defend myself. I like the approach of Ambassador Muthaura that yes, I will cooperate fully, because I think that is the way to nurture and strengthen rule of law and the culture of accountability in our country.
Yet we hear it all the time, the same old song sung in many different ways.
I'm not quite happy about Uhuru Kenyatta being there and Muthaura. It's not fair, for real. I'm a Kikuyu, but I'm not being tribalistic. I'm a Kenyan, but I'm feeling it quite, because he was too concerned about his people that, yani, wa Kikuyu, what's happening? My people, go take your people back home, but not inciting, go fight this and this and this. So one thing they should look about Uhuru Kenyatta, for real.
Atukubali kamwe kwamba Ruto apelekwe huko Hague kwa sababu he is an innocent man. Yeah, mbona mtu ambaye hana hatia apelekwe Hague? Kuna janso, tukienda janso cha alianzisha vita, si Ruto. There is a source where the whole trouble came from.
This is a war between the Kikuyus and the Kalenjin, and they should not involve other Kenyans. If they want to go and find their own country, they can go and find their own country to fight there. Because they are just involving us for no reason. We as Kenyans, we were fighting for election. But with them, they are fighting because of shampas and other things which they did during Kenyatta time. We don't know. So as Kenyans, we are telling them, they should feel we are like brothers. This is our nation. And they should not feel like they are important than the other Kenyans.
Kati kiongozi wa kabila anasema anatulinda.
When a tribal leader claims he's protecting his community, that's dirty politics. He should be helping us get water, education, jobs, and healthcare. His work is not to protect us. There is a ministry assigned to carry out that job.
Idara nyingine ambayo itatulinda.
That kind of thinking undermines national unity. We should not be protected because we are Kikuyu, but because we are Kenyans. Other tribes like the Samburu, El Molo, and Luos should be protected like the Kikuyus. Leaders do not have the right to protect their community. Protecting them means calling the police and going to court when their rights have been violated. He cannot say he's protecting them by killing people from another tribe. There's nothing moral about that. It's a crime against humanity.
Before the ICC made its move, people all over the country were demanding to be heard. The screen we have, which we are calling the Beast, is a spectacle. Generally speaking, it seems the government officials would like Kenyans to forget the crisis that happened during the elections and after the elections and pretend nothing has happened or everything is normal, everything's back to normal as they were before. But I think the reality on the ground is different. There's still a lot of tensions, a lot of worries, a lot of unresolved issues. So the content is justice, and can we get justice?
And I'm sure Mr. Kiai, I would just hear people from Eldoret complaining, especially the Kalenjin community. They are acquired people. I would just hear complain that somebody was killed because they is also suffered. Like what the picture the international community is getting is as if we are the ones who caused the suffering.
That is what I need you yourselves to raise.
They were paid money to kill. What do you get after killing your neighbor? So 2012 watoto wetu wawe macho ya kuona kwamba hata ukiua utaua and you languish somewhere alone, na matajiri watabaki wakilala na wewe ukiumia pale ambapo watakuwa umeenda kuumia.
Mimi maoni yangu sana ni hii kitu inaitwa impunity. Impunity hata hapa Kenya ndio iko na shida hata kuliko katiba, na hiyo ni maoni yangu. Kwa hivyo ningeomba hata Ocampo akiweza kumaliza hii kesi tuko nayo, hata sisi wananchi tungefurahia sana hata kuliko hii katiba. Asante.
Now we need to give justice a chance. Let's hear the evidence and see how the ICC works before rushing to our own judgment. Because ending impunity is the responsibility of every Kenyan. Getting justice is not just a process in court. It's about you too. We must rise above that first thought. Don't touch my community. If you really want peace and justice, let individuals take responsibility for their own actions. Don't carry the cross for them. Even better, get involved in what the ICC is doing. Victims and survivors of violence have a right to be represented in the trials by Kenyan or international lawyers registered with the ICC. And ordinary citizens can and should write to the ICC. So make sure your voice is heard. For tomorrow will surely come.